good because it's like just on the edge of Bristol and there's the Avon.
I feel so sorry for him, poor thing.
It's good because it's like just on the edge of Bristol and there's the Avon.
Hi, my name is Peter Scarian. I'm the Managing Director of the Community Farm, and we're a community benefit society based in Magna in the Chew Valley. We farm on 15 acres of land organically and supply veg boxes and offer volunteering and social therapeutic courses to people in Bristol, Bath, Chew Magna and out to Frome. Originally I studied at university for environmental science, did marine biology, and grew quite disillusioned with the scientific world at the time, and after a bit of travelling I just started working in business, in small businesses. Worked in a few small businesses in Bristol and Bath and in Cornwall, and then had a moment about 6 years ago now where I need to be doing something positive and making a difference. So I quit my job and I waited for the right opportunity to come along, and the community farm came along. When I did join the farm, it was quite an experience for myself. It was quite interesting those first few weeks getting to grips with the place and the state that the organisation was in. So I remember certainly one conversation about being told where we weren't able to get a delivery from a supplier because we didn't have any money to pay them. And in that first month, driving my partner home one day and just being like, I'm not sure we're going to be here in 2 months' time, because it was in real dire straits. We were verging on technical insolvency. So those first few months were very difficult, and we actually had to raise some money, around about £60,000, to plug a big gap that was in our finances. We were trying to do too much of everything, too much wholesale, too much working with markets. Like, right, let's focus on what we're doing, growing on too much land. So we actually reduced our growing operation from around about 30 acres down to 15 acres. And we focused on the box scheme where we knew it would have a positive impact on our cash flow. Minimal risk as well relative to working with a couple of big wholesalers as well. And from that point, we started turning the business around. We have grown our turnover from around about £620,000 when I first arrived to just shy of £1 million last year. Still not enough to make a profit yet, but we're almost there. And I think that's knowing where you need to get to, knowing how you're going to get there, having a strategy that you buy into and everyone buys into and that you're going to deliver over a 4 or 5 year period is key to making these things work. Networking is incredibly important in this sector. It's very easy to get or feel very isolated in doing what you're doing. And you're not going to ever learn if you don't speak to other people. I think the big issue though is that often people don't have the time. Farming is incredibly, growing is incredibly draining and intensive. You are dictated to by the weather. You know, if the weather dictates that you're working this weekend, then you're working this weekend. If you have to stay in an extra few hours later to do, you have to do the work that has to be done. There are windows that come along for certain parts of, if you're going to get the ground ready or whatever, it has to be done. And it can leave you tired and exhausted. And certainly what we try to do in the way that we work within our kind of supply group, if you like, the other growers that we work with, is that we see ourselves as the voice for them as well. So we're not just a voice for the community farm, we're a voice for everyone that we work with. We're a voice for agroecological growing. We will go out there and get the messaging out there. We will tell people about the other organisations, the growers that we work with. The Who Feeds Bristol report, which kind of really helped spark the farm in the first place, identified that only 5% of food being bought was actually from local suppliers, and the majority of it's coming from supermarkets. And if we're going to grow that, we need to work together. And there's a massive market to grow. It's not about competing with each other. It's not about us and Bristol Veg Boxes and Richard Blauerite, competing over 5% in Bristol. It's about us trying to make 5% 20%. That's the goal here. It's about us working through the networking and the messaging and the marketing to increase that, so that we can create a bigger market to allow more people to do the things that we're trying to do. So it is incredibly important to be meeting and talking. It is incredibly important to be sharing information. And I think it's also important to remember that you could take organisations like I think the Land Workers Alliance is really important, because what they do is they take 200 small voices and they put them together and they make one big voice that allows them to have a seat at the table when they're talking to DEFRA, or when we're having discussions around, you know, the Health and Harmony Bill and the future of the agricultural bill in the United Kingdom. If it's 200, 300 small people trying to talk to DEFRA at once, DEFRA will be like, yeah, but I want to listen to that farm that's got 200 acres and creates X amount of economy when it comes to food production. And then it's very easy to be dismissive of people. So that's another really important reason of why we need to work together. It's very easy to forget that farming and food has sat at the heart of society and progression for centuries, you know, millennia, ever since we started cultivating the ground and creating agriculture. We have progressed society. The invention of the plough, you know, changed the world. I think the real importance of organisations like ours and many other community farms is that it gives people an opportunity to come and get involved with farming, come and see where their food comes from and understand the effort and that goes into making it. I think there are so many benefits here. I think there's the volunteering in itself. It costs more to run a volunteering operation than it does just to run a standard farm. Volunteers need management and volunteers need to be looked after, and that doesn't just happen by putting people in the field and giving them some trowels and saying get on with it. It needs coordination, so it does cost to run that. And so we don't actually say that we don't get a massive benefit commercially directly from volunteering, but that's fine because we're okay with that here because that's part of what we do. We really say that the biggest benefit of volunteering is what the volunteers get out of coming to the farm. And anybody who gardens, you know, they know the kind of therapeutic impact of being in their garden, getting their hands in the soil. And what we do is we do that here, but we do it in a shared way, so it becomes like a shared experience with other people. And that's the power of the community farm, because it will bring people together. It creates social cohesion, and it doesn't just have to be in rural areas, which is needed because we have problems in rural areas, certainly in areas of deprivation as well, but in inner cities as well. It can be used to bring groups together, people together, getting involved in community, you know, groups that are around food, give them access to food, as well as actually skills that they're learning that they can then put into practice in their garden or in their kitchen as well to create healthier meals for their family. It's so important.
That sounds like a great idea.
That's a lovely idea, isn't it?
Yeah, a nice healthy kind of breakfast.